right, so I am live and I'm going to go ahead and jump through the different charts we have that are setting up here for January 31st, Monday. It is 9:01 a.m. and let's just see what we got here. All right, so first, always chart the ES. It's not really nice if you have the ES on one side and your chart on the other so you can compare the two. A little more than that, anything over that would just be overkill. Let's just zoom out to the hourly, guys. I've been talking about it on Twitter. I've been talking about it in the room. Pretty much we're stuck in this channel, right? You see I'll have all my alerts set through here. I'll just cancel these, right? But we're stuck here between that, let's just say 44.50 overhead supply. You could even say 44.35. Why the 44.35? I don't have it on my chart right now, but that is where the 200-day moving average currently lies, right there between 44.35, 44.40. That's why this is the upside channel resistance. We have demand down here at this 42.70, and of course the line in the sand in the macro perspective, 42.12 down here. So when you're going to look at this pattern, how you want to look at this is anything over this supply, over that 44.35, 44.50, we have room up to 4,500. There is small demand here at the 44.80, but really over 44.35, we're probably going to go to 4,500. Demand is on that 42, let's just say 70, 42.65. But if we get below that 42.65, I would expect we probably break that low. We'll probably test it and break it. So really, for today, if the bulls let the price action get under 43.50, which is roughly mid-channel, I would start to remain extremely bearish. That's kind of where I'd put my long stops. If you're trading an intraday price action, because you can risk all the way down here, but chances are, if we get that far, if we get below 43.50, it's probably going to test that. So that's kind of where I keep my stops close. We've already chopped here pre-market. As you can see, I'll zoom on the 5-minute. During the overnight session, we broke below 4,400 once. We tested up as high as 43.37 here. Pre-market, right now we held the low. We're moving up towards the red to green. This could be a good setup. One of the things to keep in mind here on the ES is a lot of people were short looking for us to break down and test that low. And as we, each low trapped them here, trapped them here, trapped them here, and then ripped them, ripped their faces off Friday, right? So now we're consolidating below this supply. It's 44.35, 44.46. So if we can go from red to green, squeeze them out, we can push through that 44.50, and chances are we test 4,500. Now the question is, what is beta doing here pre-market? We know what we're looking at on the ES. Let's just lock it in here. Let's see what beta is doing pre-market. So I'm going to jump into Apple real quick. Taking a look at Apple here. Go to the hourly. You see it had a similar chop here compared to the ES, but it broke above it, right? Broke above the highs, positive response after earnings. It had a ton of upgrades. Next resistance on Apple, of course, is going to be the 175. Sitting here over 170 and green pre-market. Zoom in. I always look at the pre-market prints to see how it's comparing to what the ES is doing here during the overnight session. Seeing there over 170. Over 172, we can extend to 175, but below 169, or let's just say 170, the next decent demand to watch is 168 and 166. So if we get a flush down to 168 or 166 real quick out of the gate, you see some ES supply towards that, let's say 43.80. That would be an ideal scoop position if you're looking for the remount to the long. Apple had a really strong session Friday. Let's jump into Amazon. Really strong session Friday, sitting here green as well off the highs, similar to Apple. Jump back to the hourly. Amazon is still caught roughly in this chops, right? So compare that to Apple. This is how you can tell which beta name is the strongest. You see how Apple had the chop and then broke out to the upside? Well, Amazon is still stuck in the chop. Very much like how ES is still stuck in the chop. So not as strong as Apple, right? But we're still on that resistance over that 2,900. It can extend 2,950, 3,000. However, if we roll back below 2,850, similar to that ES 43.50, we roll below that to 2,800. We're probably gonna flush toward the lows, right? And this is a lot of range. Doesn't look like a lot of range. That's a lot of range for Amazon. Okay. We looked at Apple. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla, kind of similar to Amazon, setting up over this. It actually bearishly diverged the chop. It got killed after earnings, right? Held the lows, soaked it, went from 800 all the way back up to 875, and we're setting up here. This is a potential macro long side idea. Looking for this to reclaim these recent levels up towards 950, maybe make a move back for 1,000. I would expect it to run with everything else. If the rest of the market goes, Tesla goes, but it's been in a heavier downtrend, so you need to keep that in mind, and it has a crap ton of range. Very green here. It has some room over that red to green versus Apple and Amazon being right on it. Tesla's a little bit above it. So areas to watch if you're looking for that long side idea. Tesla, really, man, nothing looks perfect. I would just risk red to green today, honestly, because you will get below that, and then you're talking about, 50 points of potential downside if we get the roll, right? If you're looking to short Tesla, you want this thing to stay below 880 in pre-market highs, because over that, we're going straight to 900. That's kind of the situation. But if we move up to 900, 910, that's probably where supply is going to come in for that short idea. Looking at Microsoft here, zoom out. The hourly, see similar chop to everything else, got killed down here on earnings, but soaked it and reclaimed it. Honestly, Microsoft looks like it could be setting up for a decent move here. Soaked it. We've got plenty of supply here at the 310. Over 310, extend straight to 320. Okay. On the downside watch, you want to watch for support. We have support 295 and 300. So yeah, if this thing wicks down to that between 300 and 305, that would be the dip buy area. If you're expecting SPY to break that 4450 and rip red to green, or Microsoft down into like 303, 304, 305 for the long idea, could be a pretty decent play. Sitting right there on the red to green, just like most everything else except for Tesla. We'll look at NVIDIA and AMD. NVIDIA bounce, has some room off the red to green. Back out here to the hourly. Notice it's still stuck in the chop, right? Similar how the ES is in the chop, but NVIDIA is still in the chop, so it hasn't broken above it yet like Apple has. But 240 is the next supply. So if we get a quick squeeze on here, rip that 235, 240 is coming. As far as demand on NVIDIA, that would look decent. 225 is like the only thing decent, and that's mid-channel. So if we hit 225, I would expect the ES has broken below 4,400. We're heading to 4,350. But yeah, this was a nice scoop. The macro demand there on the 215. This could rip. See how it's already perking up here, pre-market, as the ES is heading for moving that red to green move. So yeah, it has some potential here. Over 235 could hit 240. AMD. I remember it was on 100, sub 100. Kind of how Tesla was bearishly diverging. It chopped and then broke down. AMD did the same thing. So a very similar chart here, AMD to Tesla. Very different between AMD and NVIDIA. You notice that NVIDIA is actually stronger here in that consolidation towards the top of that channel. AMD is below it, right? So AMD, 100, yeah, demand. Everyone wanted that. 105 red to green is a really good watch, that pivot low. Below 105, I think we just touch 100. Right now, we break above that 108, guys, we can go to 112, 112.50. If ES goes to 44.50, you could see AMD, 112.50, 115 if we rip that 44.50 on the ES. So it's setting it up. A lot of people wanted it, at 100. Earnings, I think, is February 3rd, if I remember correctly. Double check that. I may be wrong, but AMD has some of that upside potential. It really just depends on what the ES does here. I think I hit about everything. Let me see. Apple, Amazon, AMD, Tesla, Microsoft. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see. I'm just gonna go through and just jump through a couple. Check. Let me check the VIX here real quick. Here, give me just a second. Let me pull this up. I just now got the chat open, by the way. So if you had posted something in the stream chat, I haven't seen it yet, so you have to repost it. Let's talk about the VIX here, guys. So we had this huge parabolic, right, back on the 24th, up to 38, which, was pretty sweet. It was larger than the previous one where we sold a lot of premium on that. I didn't catch this top. I wanted it to really go higher. And look, we're already back below 30, right? Anything over 20, we can still see a pretty significant downside move, but the VIX here, pre-market, selling off, tried to get it, sold it off, right? So it's still above Friday's lows as we perked up here into the close and ripped. Just keep an eye on this. If we get back over 30, I would expect the ES is coming down to, if we get over 30, the ES should probably coming down to that 44.50. That's exactly what that looks like. But so far, the VIX is decaying, which is a good sign for the bulls. And we want to see that thing continue to break down, ideally below 27. Get below 27, I think ES has a shot to go for that 44.50, right? But over 30, we could see some more downside volatility. That's pretty much all that I have right now for these charts here pre-market. The idea is look for the bulls have potential, right? They have potential to squeeze oversupply. It would be nice to get some early weakness, right? Maybe into 4,400, 4390s, some early weakness to scoop some of these names long. We get that confirmation over 4450, short start to panic. We roll to the upside towards 4,500 either today or early tomorrow, and then everyone has a nice entry on beta. The issue is, if you notice that beta names, because they ripped up into the close, they have a lot of room back down, if they're to this prior demand, like on the strong names, Apple, we were 166, ripped basically to 172 of the highs, right? So if we pull back to 169, you buy that dip, it could confirm down to 166. That's not unheard of, right? It's definitely in the realm of possibility, and that's kind of like the issue, like same thing like Amazon. We had this huge squeeze up into the close. So if you're buying, the red to green or even the 2860, you have room before we get back to this prior consolidation period. So the bulls really need to prove it to the upside today. I'm not going to be stressing it too much. I'm going to see how the flow comes in, and I will just take it from there, guys. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded, and y'all have a great trading session.